As I told you, the film's a masterpiece in terms of score, cinematography. Hoytum is one of my favorite DPs of all time. But I was looking back at your films and thinking about the importance of animals and how animals play a kind of a vehicle into horror. You go to the deer in Get Out, you go to the rabbits in Us, and then you got a monkey here, and then the horses as well. In terms of that, what do animals mean to you in terms of writing and thematically, kind of that through line in all three films?
Really great question. And I don't know that I know the answer exactly. I know that, you know, animals to me is somehow integral to horror and horrific images to me. I love animals, but they're a real reminder of the existential nightmare of what does it mean to be human.
Yeah.
And they're a reminder of how we treat anything that doesn't qualify as human. And so there's a very real world horror that animals are trapped in. And I think they probably, in some ways, they symbolize something very bad about us. And that's what my movies are about. Yeah. It's about how bad we are.
Now, I sat down with you for Get Out, and in Get Out, you said that you were going to weave in aspects of the Get Out universe into your future films.
I've put some little Easter eggs in there, and I'll probably continue to weave in the universe in my next movie.
And then when I sat down with you for Us, I asked you, you know, I brought that back and said, well, or Get Out and Us connected. Your next movie is now here. We're sitting here for Us. Can you confirm that they are in the same world? And if they are, have you thought about how the Get Out characters were affected by this?
I cannot confirm nor deny any of the same universe between these two films.
All right. All right. You did say you were gonna weave it into your next movies. I wasn't sure.
Well, you know.
I'm very curious. Now that we're sitting here for Nope, can you go back to Us and like talk about whether or not those two were connected, and have you continued the through line through Nope? I don't know how much that you can answer, but I just find it interesting.
Well, you could probably answer it yourself because it's already out there, my friend. There's already a connection between Us and Nope. Do you know what it is?
I'm blanking,
okay,
only because I'm nervous.
You have to see it again. No, it's not so obvious. You're gonna have to nerd out to get there.
Okay, but Get Out to Us?
No comment.
Still no comment all these years later. The idea of obsession with spectacle and the addiction to kind of attention are really fascinating themes that are played with here. Obviously, besides the thing about film and digital, I loved all that as well. How did it make you check your perspective on those things in your own life? Did it make you look at the way you view spectacle differently, or the way you're not addicted to attention, but I mean, we work in a business where attention is, we're watching films, we're talking about that. So I'm wondering, did it make you check yourself at all in terms of like those aspects of your life?
Yeah, it really did, and it forced me to, you know, see my part in this, in the industry of the spectacle, and how I've participated, and how I've been wronged, and make me question if and when I've wronged others, and make me go through the whole thing. A lot of this film was my catharsis in recognizing that, you know, I create spectacle, and my realization was that, you know, there is a human addiction to spectacle.
In a bad way.
In a very bad way. Yeah. We all feel it.
Yeah.
And it's taken over in the last half a decade, even to this exponential point, where I think people feel like a bad miracle has happened. And so, yeah, there's a lot of introspection and a lot of trying to make sure that if I'm participating in the monetization of spectacle, or if I'm participating in this business, I better be doing it as good as I can.
They're wrapping me up. Michael Abels, want to give him a shout out.
Oh, Michael.
That is one of the best scorers, and I'm so happy you brought him back. I just wanted to mention him on camera because he's incredible.
I'm so glad you said that. Michael, yeah, he gave me a score like none other, and it needed this big score. It needed this thing that felt big and different, and like a summer blockbuster, and so he delivered.
It was awesome. Congratulations to you, man.
Thank you, man. I'm going to do this because your handshakes are cyborg.
I have large hands. Yeah. People tell me that you shake too hard. I'm like, it's because I mean it. I'm just emotionally invested in this, you know? Wait,
You're awesome.
I was looking at Jordan's films, and I've seen Get Out, I think 10 or 12, 11 times now. Same with Us.
on.
I went and saw Get Out so many times in theaters, and I've watched it. I've learned things on every viewing that I watch it on. It's incredible. But when I look back at that film, that moment you have with the deer is very fascinating. And then you look at Us. I know you're not in Us, but like obviously the rabbits are a thing there. So the animals become part of a theme, and then the horses and Gordy here. In your opinion, just kind of like what those animals in his films kind of mean to you, but the deer aspect in Get Out to the horse aspect here, and I'm curious what that means to you just from a performing perspective.
I gotta say, a performing perspective, I kind of just play what it is because you're not in a
thematically.
meta situation. But thematically, it's actually a really interesting thing. I've never actually spoken to Jordan or thought about it. What I probably feel like is like, just as my interpretation, it's like the animals are a reflection of what that person's inner psyche is doing, what's happening with them, what position they're in. Because the deer, he's in deer in headlights and Get Out. The rabbits, and about there being an underworld and then being duplicated, and then the horses, how they're being used in the Hollywood context by these people, and then how. Yeah, there's a
I
freedom.
live for that. You better break that down. That was good. Every day during these these conversations, we learn more and more about the movie ourselves. Jordan's mind is incredible. I mean, he literally is not Jordan Peele just because of Peele. He's peeling back the layers with you.
Yeah, real talk. But no, yeah, because the horses get broken. They have to get broken in order they have to be exploited. So we're trying to break this thing.
The look-up shots are incredible. And I would imagine that when you have a shot that close on your face looking up, it probably gives you an idea of maybe what your quirks are, how your eyes move and your facial expressions. And I wondered like how those shots operated, what Jordan told you that you were looking at, and did it make you kind of wonder like how your eyes move and how your face kind of moves a bit?
Yeah, that was probably one of the toughest tasks about this. It's like I say, the looks were lines. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, because they tell a story between you and what we see. And so it's like you have to be very detailed about what you're thinking in order for able to get that, but also you're not seeing it. Right. So you have to like we had to really chat with Jordan to kind of like get to the details of what the character's going through and where it is in the story, because you want those looks to feel different in every sequence that it is, because there's a lot of sightings. Yeah. So yeah, that's how it felt for me. Like.
And for you, did it like kind of like make you question like how your eyes work in a shot? It's a kind of a crazy thing to think about.
I mean, yeah, nobody wants to look quote unquote crazy, but also this is kind of a part of acting. So you have to let any of those inhibitions go so you can get the most genuine response and reaction. So I tried to just be true to the moment and not really, if I look crazy, then maybe that's how Emerald was looking in that moment, because what she's looking at is crazy. So I didn't try to think too hard on that.
So I love this theme of being obsessed with spectacle and kind of addicted to attention. Is kind of a big theme in the film that I thought, like putting your phone away, film is forever, capturing things practically. And that was like such a beautiful aspect to it. Did it help you change perspective on how you view spectacle in your real lives, or maybe attention and things like that? Did it make you check yourself on kind of how you view those things and personally?
I think it made me aware of me doing it. I don't think I've got to a place where I've stopped. Scrolling, and I'm still a person. Do you know what I mean? So you're taking it and you're watching. You're on YouTube for 8 hours. It's like I'm living my life. Not 8 hours though, but 2. So I think it made me aware that that's the thing that is hooking me. Do you know what I mean? That's what it showed me, that that relationship that we have with the thing is what's hooking me in this part of my life and that part of my life.
Did it change your perspective on like social media, or like just that idea of spectacle and how we view things?
Yeah, and I think even more so, if I'm exploiting them, or even exploiting myself, especially like growing up as an entertainer, since I was like 9 years old. And we actually have a great part in there with Stephen Yeun's character that kind of talks a little bit about the child acting world and just how exploitative that can feel and be. And so I think for me, it made me just think like about a lot of that stuff and how I continue to work in this industry as a performer and know the balance between, doing something because I love it and expressing art in that way, and then, okay, is this exploitative, or where is this actually coming from?
I have to ask you, the bike slide was amazing. It's in the trailer. Is that an Akira reference?
It is.
And how did that shot work?
Yeah, so it is an Akira reference. Jordan obviously, he knows what he's doing, and it was practically done, but it was kind of like hooked to like a track. So we just did it like over and over and over again. I got hyped up before every take to make sure I had that same energy, and then we just kept sliding and sliding. Almost got my head knocked off, but
Amazing scene. So there's a shot that's in the trailer that's obviously part of the film as well that I think is incredible, just immersive. When you just like the look-up shot, the actual look-up shot, that's actually part of that one major sequence.
Yeah.
In terms of filming that, and what are you told? What does Jordan tell you that you're looking at? And do you start noticing what your face does? Like when you're that close up, like how your eyes operate or how your facial expressions work? Because everything, you're telling us the narrative through that moment.
Yeah. I think we talked a lot about that moment, especially because it was an IMAX camera at like 36 frames per second. So it was like, we knew it was gonna be this slow shot where you can kind of see all the detail. And without giving too much into it, I think we tried to tell the story of someone coming to an awareness that he had no idea about, but maybe he always had in the back of his mind at all times.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, there's this thing coming to get him, so there's also that.
Minari was obviously an incredible film.
Thank you.
Very different in genre,
Yeah.
clearly to note. But I do want to know, do you see a through line? Just from either a filmmaking standpoint, something you noticed on both films that was constant, even
Yeah.
though they're two different films, and then something that maybe was like, I don't know, something that kind of stayed with it. I mean,
Yeah.
you took from Minari and used here.
Wow, that's a great question. I think for me, the always constant is just humanity, you know? I feel like sometimes we say like, yeah, of course humanity, like we're all human, like we kind of just throw that around, but then we also at the same breath define something and categorize it and place it in a box and say like, that's what that is, which then dehumanizes the thing itself. And so for me, you know, with Minari, like the key was that, you know, with Isaac, we didn't want to tell a story that had any barriers of entry. There wasn't like, you must be a cultural expert in order to access our story. It was just, we'll do all that work for you, and it'll be in the film, and then you can just watch it and connect with this family one-to-one as human beings. And I think in the same way with Nope, you know, I think there's gonna be easy ways in which we try to like put characters in boxes and say like, that's not me, that's that person, or that's not me, that's that person. And I think the beauty of what Jordan's touching, especially with all these characters, Jupe down to Keke, or Jupe, M, OJ, they're all parts of him, you know? And in that way, they're all parts of us. And that seems to me like that is, you just kind of said like, what attracts me to certain roles and what attracts me to certain directors is people who are speaking from that place.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you, man.
Oh,
I
man,
appreciate
thank
your
you.
time
Yeah,
today, man.
great to meet you.
Working on film, Hoyte Van Hoyte is one of my favorite DPs, as I mentioned. I mean, Dunkirk, Interstellar, Ad Astra, everything he's done. But to be in a film, in a frame that he's shooting, it's got to be insane, especially with those IMAX cameras. What did it mean to work on film? Like, was there a certain precious aspect to it? I know. I'm like,
I literally have chills right now. You saying all that literally gave me chills because it's always been my dream to work on film, right? And then in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, 35 mil or even 16, just something a little smaller scale. And then that's not small scale. That's still big scale.
Right.
But am I imagining 65 millimeter on film? No, not at all. With Hoyte behind it as well? No, but when you hear 65 millimeter, you think Hoyte Van Hoyte. So
know, man.
It was just incredible. And I learned, dude, how to reload IMAX.
I love that scene so much.
Dude,
Without
so
giving spoilers, can you talk about that real fast with the reload? That was
For
so
sure.
cool, man.
So I actually had to learn how to reload. Shout out to Bobby. Bobby helped me out a lot, and he was the reloader on our set. And it was funny putting my arms in the tent and just trying to figure things out. And it's just kind of like the eyes close, you feel what's going on, and you have to be so detailed because film is so expensive.
Are you filming for real? Is that footage really happening? What you're shooting?
So me reloading, I did do it real, but in that moment, it's kind of right. You know, so you got to cut around. Sure. But I did learn how to load 65, and I learned how to load 35, and that was an incredible experience. And I don't know if I did it well enough where it would be usable. Maybe there's some bites in the film, you know, check the gate. You better check the gate on mine, you know. So, that was just dream come true in all aspects. This whole project, Nope, has been a big dream for me, and that's one of them, shooting on film. But but then 65. All that miracle. Not even a dream, miracle.
I love what Jordan does in terms of like talking about this idea of obsession with spectacle and this obsession with being addicted to things that like social media and phones, and there's a lot of themes in this movie about like maybe putting your phone down, living your life, capturing things on film versus digital, which is obviously a big theme in the film.
Yeah.
How did it change your perspective on your relationship with things like social media or things like a spectacle? Did it change your perspective on how you view things in the news or in the world?
Yeah, it's like don't sacrifice yourself and put yourself in danger to capture a moment. Experience a moment. So that was definitely one of the aspects, because like dealing with trauma is, I think, a big topic in this film, and that's what I took away from it. And it's like you don't need that documentation. Like just know for yourself, because you can put yourself in a dangerous spot of trying to document for others. Do things for yourself too. So yeah, just make sure that you're happy, and that's a great point. I never even thought about it in that sense, but you bringing that up's got my mind working right now.